on social media every single day. I need this. Hi and welcome to the first episode of Everything I Know with Zoë Robertson, a podcast where I share everything I know. I'm your host, Zoë Robertson, and if there's something that you want to know that you think I know, then you can DM me at Zoë Robertson on Instagram, and maybe we'll make an episode or maybe just a small segment. Excuse Donna's sniffing. She is a truffle pig trapped in a teacup chihuahua's body. In today's episode of Everything I Know, we are going to talk about how to use social media without getting depressed. And some of these talking points I have been a little bit on before, but this is like a whole thing. Dallas, sorry, my cat is trying to go on my computer. We're going to look at the subject in different segments. Obviously, this is a podcast. So segment 1 is understanding the impact of social media on mental health. Segment 2 is recognizing unhealthy patterns. Segment 3 is strategies for using social media mindfully. Segment 4 is my favorite because it's a Reddit break, something we're going to do in every episode, and this Reddit post is obviously social media themed. Segment 5 is building a positive online presence. Segment 6 is balancing online and offline. Segment 7 is seeking support and help. And we have conclusion. Segment 1, understanding the impact of social media on mental health. So I wanted to start my podcast off with this episode because this is something that I feel very passionately about. I know that a lot of us struggle with how social media makes us feel, and especially young people. Even though I felt like I've been using social media in a positive way, that I tried to distance myself from it, I did have to admit a few weeks ago in my confidence video that honestly, Instagram has been bothering me a little bit. Honestly, I had this feeling where I feel icky when I post something on Instagram because I know that a lot of people who aren't necessarily that supportive of me or who I don't have the best relationship to, but that I kind of have to keep on my Instagram for out of politeness. Honestly, I just feel like it would be impolite to remove those people. It gives me a weird kind of feeling thinking about them, watching my posts, judging my posts. I don't necessarily feel the whole thing of oh, I need to get thousands of likes on things I post and stuff like that, but it's more of a feeling of, I feel like Instagram is so local, my YouTube, my TikTok, and my Pinterest is looked at by entirely different people than those I know. Obviously, some I know check out my social media from time to time, but mostly the algorithm pushes it out to other people. Whilst on Instagram, I know, and I can even watch my statistics and confirm this, and I have, that most of my posts are honestly viewed by people from my hometown. And then there's this weird feeling of not necessarily being a part of a community and seeing oh, all these people from my high school, their pictures, but I don't like mine, which makes me reflect upon myself. And it's weird because it's social media and it should be this entirely different entity, right? But it is actually a part of our life and so integrated that who likes and doesn't like my posts makes me think about how I've been towards them as a person. And in that way, I definitely do compare myself on social media, absolutely. In comparison, not only is comparison super common and super prevalent, especially with social media, but as we talked about in my How to Be Unbothered video, comparison is the thief of joy. A lot of why we feel bad on social media is because we're comparing either our statistics or the content. So if other people are on vacation, if other people are at a party, if other people have better apps than you and stuff like that, which is insane because social media isn't real. People's bodies in social media aren't real. Oftentimes their face isn't even real, but you don't know that, and we're just comparing ourselves to something that doesn't exist, and it sucks. And it's people are posting when they're at a party, yeah, but that doesn't mean they're at parties all the time, Maybe it means the opposite. People don't post when they're, except for cringy Facebook things, people don't post when they're fighting with their partner or getting the flu or having car troubles, People are posting what's fun. And if you go look at your own social media, you can realize like, oh yeah, I'm posting my highlight reel. So if someone was comparing themselves to my social media, they might feel bad about themselves. And that's how you have to think about everyone else's social media also. And then we have FOMO, like I said, parties, vacations, all of this, or even like, I get a lot of FOMO with business, I guess, kind of like when someone around my age lands a good deal or gets a good job or stuff like that. I'm like, oh, am I doing enough? Am I like on top of my game? Which sucks. I don't know like how they're feeling or how they're feeling about that, how good the deal actually is, how they're doing in life. Other than that, how hard they work to get there, I know nothing. So like, why am I even comparing myself to that? Or why am I getting FOMO, thinking like, oh my God, I need to do this, I need to do that? Honestly, a big part of like actually getting things, getting what you want, is to not like being scattered and looking at all these other different things, but just like doing what you want to do, working on what makes you happy, until you get to that point. And then looking on social media, seeing someone who's done something that you honestly probably aren't even interested in doing, just feel in the moment like you are, will just get you further away from your goals. Then yeah, negative self-perception goes through all of this, because we're seeing ourselves more negatively when we're comparing ourselves to something that is entirely positive. And right now when I'm talking, I'm just thinking about Instagram, honestly, because I feel like TikTok is very different, right? Like TikTok, yeah, there's some of that, but mostly it's people just actually talking and being very honest about how they're doing. I know that I've definitely been my most honest on TikTok, and also probably here. I absolutely try to have a balance on my YouTube videos of being open and honest, but also being positive. Whilst on TikTok, sometimes honestly I'm kind of negative. I don't know, like I'm just telling my truth. I found a couple of articles to like further highlight what I'm trying to say. One from Psychology Today and one from helpguide.com. But I would also always recommend to anyone The Social Dilemma from Netflix, that documentary about social media. I think that's what sparked me to honestly make all those videos on social media a few years back. This is really good. The first is from Psychology Today and it's called Anxiety and Social Media Use, and it's written by Dr. Phil Reed. So this article, or Dr. Phil Reed, talks about a concept of anxiety that I think a lot of us are familiar with. Where like you get anxious for whatever reason, like let's say work is stressing you out, or you like someone and they haven't responded to your Snapchat yet, or you're just feeling bad, you're just feeling anxious and you don't know why, and you're like, oh my God, I can't be inside my own head right now. So you go on like TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and then that use of social media in itself, whether it's like you're getting some stress because you're like procrastinating now, or something under makes you feel bad, now you have what Phil Reed calls a double whammy anxiety. And here he also talks about like kind of like how, you know, when you're tired, you drink caffeine, like I got this Monster here, but then after you've like drank caffeine for a while, or same with cigarettes or whatever, like you're using it for something, but then you actually get withdrawals from that thing, and it just adds to the problem. And people are experiencing this with social media, literally social media withdrawals, which isn't surprising. It's like a dopamine thing, right? Like it's like, they show this in The Social Dilemma, that when you scroll on social media, the same part of your brain lights up as when you're like gambling. And I think it was also the same as when you're doing cocaine. Basically, this post is that people who use social media have like higher levels of anxiety and depression, although we can't be sure, is this because it causes anxiety and depression, or is it because people with anxiety and depression, like you said, doom scrolling everything, like to reduce that or to sedate themselves, they'll like go to social media and just chill. But however, I think one thing that is pretty clear from the study is that if you already have, especially if you have generalized anxiety disorder, if you like have anxiety, going on social media will very likely increase your anxiety anyways. I don't see any evidence that it like creates anxiety, but yeah, it will totally increase it if you have it, or can totally increase it if you have it, because, you know, when you're just like, when you're feeling bad about it, just feeling bad in general, and then you go on social media and you see like all these amazing, beautiful, intelligent, successful people, and they're thriving and you're not. And then, oh, everyone is at a party and you're not, and everyone's getting 100 likes on their selfie and you're not. And which isn't reality, but this is what it feels like, right? That'll increase anxiety, make you feel like shit. One thing in this article that I think I've seen before also that like really actually shocked me was a link between social media use and alcohol, but where people were like literally drinking while posting to like deal with anxiety, it seems. That's not something I'm personally familiar with. Let me know if you are, and if this is like a bigger thing than I thought and I just haven't heard of it. But I was pretty shocked, but apparently, yeah, people are like having anxiety, so they're going to social media, getting greater anxiety, and dealing with that anxiety again by drinking, but then still engaging on social media and posting. This article also made me wonder if I have more FOMO than I thought, because I think of FOMO as like being on Snapchat, people are at a party, and you're like, fuck, I want to be at that party. And I don't have that because I'm super introverted. However, they mention a FOMO of like, okay, let's say you're at a cabin, which happens a lot in Norway. Like, you're at a cabin, you have poor signal. Oh my god, that's so stressful. But not necessarily for me, like not being on social media, but not having internet. But honestly, like I need to keep tabs of everything. I'm a Virgo, I'm a control freak. And one thing is like not having access to YouTube. That freaks me out a little, I must admit, yes. But not having access to YouTube analytics, my statistics, knowing what's up, knowing if someone posts a comment that I need to respond to, that kills me. Like when I'm on a plane, I'm honestly thinking about the internet. I am. But then also they mention like, and gasp if you're like in a social interaction you can't get out of and you're not able to like take up your phone. I feel that. That was me yesterday. I think, you know, I'm on the board of a social rights organization, and we were moving from one warehouse to another warehouse. So spending like many hours doing that, and while you're like lifting boxes and everything and hanging out with a lot of people, especially people over the age of 40, can't necessarily like take up your phone and look at TikTok. And every time I was alone, no kidding, I was on TikTok. And I'm not even that big into TikTok, I feel like, but I was just like, oh fuck, I need to just like scroll. What? So yeah, maybe I do have FOMO. I do get a little panicked if I don't have internet, I must admit, and it's just not just because of Google Maps. Like I love being able to just like get out of my own head, putting on a YouTube video or TikToks or whatever. Like, this is making me learn something about myself, honestly. Okay, it says, in a recent article, the authors even suggest that FOMO can happen when, and then there's a quote, people have multiple devices and social media accounts and have little time or desire to check them all. If you have little desire, how's that FOMO? FOMO can also happen when people get frustrated by others not responding. I feel like they have a very different definition of FOMO as we do, maybe? I don't know. And then it says, this fear produces a need to digitally reconnect, and the cycle starts again. It is not known whether individuals with generalized anxiety disorder experience FOMO more than others, but it seems probable. Yeah, and their definition of FOMO absolutely seems probable. I don't know, like this seems just like anxiety, honestly, like, oh, why aren't they responding? But yeah, it is a little bit like boring when people don't respond, right? I get like, I like when people respond. I get a little like, fuck. It makes me think. I have this like thing. I have this like thing where when someone doesn't respond to me, I assume that they've heard something horrible about me and never want to talk to me again. Like that someone like spread a rumor that like punched your grandmother. So I don't know. Like it's such a strange feeling, but I'm always like, what can come out about me? Have I done anything? Someone making something up? Why aren't they responding? Do they hate me? It's a lot of fun. Here's a bigger definition of their FOMO. They say, it also turns out that FOMO may have several subcategories linked to the particular uses by which individuals set their greatest store. These types of FOMO include missing out on popularity, missing out on information. That's me, I'm an info girly. Missing out on social group interactions, and missing out on the chance to prevent negative comments about the self by others. It's kind of what I was talking about, like people being like, Zoe totally did this. I'm like, no, I like him. All of which will drive anxieties. That may also exist in the real world apart from social media, thus being digitally disconnected, quite apart from the effects of withdrawal and the effects of day-to-day life stresses, will produce FOMO. Okay, now it's making more sense. None of this looks like, sorry, it's a while since I read the article and wrote the script. None of this looks like a good outward for the use of social media. Then again, they say like not everyone experiences these effects, probably more those with anxiety disorders, it's just around like 20%. It may also be that some people use social media not as a palliative escape from everyday troubles, but as a means of generating excitement in an otherwise dull life. Kind of like watching a show, right? These people may not experience the same anxiety-producing withdrawal effects, but they may well experience anxieties associated with social comparison and FOMO, meaning that they are not immune from increases in anxiety-related problems. I mean, sure, everyone, I think comparing yourself on social media is kind of like a bigger version of before, when you would compare yourself to people when you saw them like at a party or at the grocery store, like when you heard that someone was engaged or someone was having a baby. It's like, yeah, now we can see people's baby bumps on social media and be like, shit, are my eggs drying up? But before that, we just heard about it from like our parents or grandmothers anyways. Well, thank you, Phil Reed, PhD. This next one is from helpguide.org and is by Zoë Robertson and Melinda Smith, who has a master's in, what does she have a master's in? It just says that she has master's. I honestly don't know, but she writes a lot about psychology, so let's just say it's psychology. This is a more lighthearted and also balanced article just talking about social media and mental health, which is obviously both positive and negative. And she sort of breaks it down, or they sort of break it down to the positives being like, communicate and stay up to date with family and friends around the world. I feel that. I mean, I was talking with my cousin this morning and he lives in Texas. I live in Norway. If this was like the 1800s, we'd have to like exchange letters and talk like once a year, basically, you know. Find new friends and communities, network with other people who share similar hobbies or ambitions. Join or promote worthwhile causes, raise awareness on important issues. Seek and offer emotional support during tough times. Find vital social connection if you live in a remote area, for example, or have limited independence, social anxiety, or are part of a marginalized group. Really good point. Find an outlet for your creativity and self-expression and discover with care sources of valuable information and learning. Absolutely. Learning has just exploded and become so much more like, I always struggle with this word in English, democratized. Like, we all have access to knowledge. And it's kind of because of that, I can never look at the internet as like a bad thing, no matter how much bad happens on the internet. Because like, my tagline on my YouTube channel is, knowledge is power. You know, empowering young women through knowledge and motivation. Knowledge is empowering. No matter how much anxiety social media may give us, it also brings us so much knowledge. I learn on social media every single day. I'm probably learning faster than ever. I think that's the same for a lot of us. Like, I've always been reading, but it's like you learn so much quicker also. Instead of reading an entire book, you can see a breakdown of a book in a minute. And I'm not saying it's the same, just saying you can just gain so much knowledge. Since it's a relatively new technology, there's little to establish the long-term consequences, good or bad, of social media use. However, multiple studies have found a strong link between heavy social media and an increased risk for depression, anxiety, loneliness, self-harm, and even suicidal thoughts. And here it breaks down. It's pretty similar to the one before, and is my points also. Social media may promote negative experiences such as inadequacy about your life or appearance, fear of missing out, and social media addiction, isolation, depression, anxiety, cyberbullying, that's a big one, I feel like we talked more about cyberbullying in like the MySpace era than we do today, which is strange because it's probably worse. I know TikTok is brutal. And self-absorption, oop. So like when I showed my grandmother my Instagram and she was like, well, now people know you really like yourself because it's just a bunch of pictures of me. And I was like, I really do, Grandma. Thank you for noticing. Yeah. Here it says the exact same thing as I was saying with the social dilemma. When you receive a like, a share, or a favorable reaction to a post, it can trigger the release of dopamine in the brain, the same reward chemical that follows winning on a slot machine, taking a bit of chocolate, or lighting up a cigarette. The more you're rewarded, the more time you want to spend on social media, even if it becomes detrimental to other aspects of your life. Well, I think we looked at the bad parts more, and also I'm going to link this article, and it has a lot of like great tips, not only for recognizing unhealthy patterns like we're going to do now, but also like how to solve some of those things. So after you're done with this podcast, you can absolutely go check out that article. So segment 2, recognizing unhealthy patterns. I think social media is the exact same thing as everything else that can be good or bad, that it comes down to your intention. If you recognize that you're in one of these anxiety spirals, for example, where you don't just use social media to lessen your anxiety, but your anxiety also increases when you're on social media and also when you're off social media, that you're feeling like FOMO, that is obviously something to recognize as a problem. And if that's the case, you have to try to look at other things you can do, try to disconnect, try to like go for a walk without social media, do some yoga, any anxiety relieving activity. Sometimes I like to just turn off my phone and like write or draw or read a book or just sing for a while. Anything that I like to do that I can do without like looking at my phone. I like play music from my phone, not like look at it. Those are great things to do in my opinion. But then if you try like every like anxiety reducing thing you can do, you try being in nature, being with pets, getting off your phone, physical exercise, doing things you find fun, then as always, I'd say seek therapy. Same with depression. If you feel like you're using your phone too much as a crutch to where like you're not leaving your house, you're in general just like isolating yourself, if you're getting more and more depressed, if you're doom scrolling, if you're on social media, like I don't think I've ever been on TikTok for longer than half an hour combined. I'd say if you're on TikTok for like over an hour, that's a warning sign in itself, honestly. So if you're using social media as a crutch for anything and that thing is not bettering, then that's a problem. If you're going to use social media to deal, then it has to actually work. And then also, of course, if you're getting like social media withdrawals, if you're continuously thinking about social media, like thinking about TikToks, thinking about Instagram, it's not like creating things, but just thinking like being in class and thinking, oh my God, I wish I could scroll on TikTok right now, but not even thinking about like any specific creator, any video you want to see, just like wanting to be on social media, that is also a warning sign. And these are signs that, you know, you're using social media in a way where something is actually wrong or you're having like sort of an addiction. But another side is if you're having problems because of excessive use of social media, and that is also something to recognize that you can cut back a little. And I'd say the main thing is if social media is making you feel bad. I used to hate Snapchat so much, and the reason for that is like, first of all, I never liked it. From the moment it came, I felt like this isn't for me. And then the second part was that I was kind of like forced always into getting Snapchat by my friends. Like I'd like delete it and then feel like I had to go back in because everyone's like, Zoe, we're doing everything on Snapchat. This is very like impractical. Please just get it. You just have to add us. And it's like, okay, but thing is like you end up having to add other people. They like see that you have Snapchat, like they see your little icon, like do you want to add as a friend, or they see you on Snapchat, or like they're asking you at a party and you end up having like, let's say like 100 to 200 people on your Snapchat. And this is the thing that gave me anxiety. So you get so many snaps. Some people just snap all the time, and you're getting these pictures of people's foods, of people's dogs. You don't even remember who the person is. And to some, that's like, okay, whatever, I'm just clicking out. But to me, that was very stressful. And now I'm proud to say I haven't had Snapchat in like, 2 years, I think? maybe longer. Did I have Snapchat after COVID? It doesn't matter. I don't use Snapchat. I'm never getting Snapchat again. And I don't ever even think about Snapchat. I just thought about it right now. But in a similar way, like I've been saying, I've been feeling pretty bad on Instagram, and right now I'm trying to change it by just posting very positive things and things that I'm like, okay, this is positive for anyone, right? But yeah, it's not my favorite platform, and I have noticed that, okay, when I'm on Instagram, I kind of feel bad, so I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram. And if you don't feel good after being on social media, like, it should lift you up, not drag you down, like with friends. So if you're not feeling good, then get off or like cut down, you know? If you feel fat, if you feel broke, if you feel unsuccessful, if you feel painfully single, painfully childless, any of these feelings after being on a social media, fuck it. You don't need to be on all the social medias all the time. And or do some of these things that we're not going to talk about in segment 3, which is strategies for using social media mindfully. So I feel like I'm at a pretty good place right now with my own social media use. Obviously, I'm on social media all of the time, like creating this content, for example. But when I'm not creating content, I try to, like I said, like I'm never on TikTok more than like half an hour at a time. Usually it's like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and sure, it adds up. But I'm not like doom scrolling. Also, a lot of time when I'm on TikTok, I'm actually getting like TikToks from my friend who I'm creating my motivational inspirational planner with, which will help you reach your goals. Obviously, we send each other a lot of business related TikToks, and to me, TikTok is really very great for business. There's so many intelligent people on TikTok willing to share tips with others for free. In my opinion, is that as long as you're on social media looking for something, spending your time well, knowing what you want, knowing why you're there, that is good. You're being mindful. The second your mind starts to wander, the second you're just scroll, that's when you get off. However, I would set time limits for myself. I would recommend to everyone to use the feature on your phone where you can go and see how much time am I spending on this app, how much time am I spending on that app. And if you're spending like more than an hour a day on social media, I'd say that's not the best. I spend a lot of time on YouTube. To me, that's different. It's kind of like Netflix, more of like a background thing. But if I was like sitting just looking at YouTube videos for as long as I have them in the background, God, I'd be like, lock me up. I'm insane. And yeah, I always recommend to actually use social media. It's a tool. Use it for your benefit. If you want to learn a new skill, if you want to get motivated. I use especially Pinterest a lot for ideas for my life, or to find new brands, or to get motivated to do stuff. Like I said, I had that day where I was super depressed and I went on Pinterest and I got out of bed pretty early after all because I was feeling motivated again. And that I think is really good. And that's the thing, like, make social media positive for you, not just what you're searching for, but also your feed. My thought is that if a person is stressing you out to the point where you're like getting like anxious, if you see that you got a notification from them, this is especially on Snapchat, or if you're like afraid to go on social media because you wonder if they're there, if they've sent you anything, not necessarily a bully, but like a person who you dated and you said like, I don't want to go on any more dates, and they're still trying, or like a creep, or like anything, block them. I love the block button. It's my favorite feature on any social media. It gives you peace of mind. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, I can't block people. I'm going to feel so bad. Or what if I meet them? First of all, you're not going to feel so bad. You're going to forget about them in like 10 hours. Like literally, you're just going to forget. It's going to be like they never existed. Secondly, if you see them, do you think they're going to bring out being blocked? Do you know how embarrassing that is? I would never. If someone like literally like blocked me, unless it was my sister, and I was like, why are you being so shady? I would never bring it up. I'd be like, oh wow, I must have been like a total dick, or like, ooh, what is my behavior? Like, why would they block me? It's embarrassing. They won't bring it up. Don't worry about it. And also, just in general, follow accounts that inspire you, accounts that make you feel good about yourself, people that are aspirational, but not in a way where you feel inadequate. And if you don't feel like blocking someone for like social reasons, or just because you don't want to. You can also just unfollow them or like hide them in your feed and they'll never know and you'll feel better. One of the biggest tips that I always give people for social media to feel better and to use it mindfully, like I said, and or when you actually want, and that I've done, even though, you know, I post very specifically on my social media, yet on like Instagram and stuff, I don't have notifications. I go on Instagram and I'm ready to go on Instagram. I don't feel the need to know, oh, your ex liked your picture. No, I don't need to know that information, especially don't need to know that information when I'm at lunch, when I'm at work, when I'm walking my dog. I don't need to get a notification like, oh my God, look, your high school bully decided to follow you. You know, like, it's not necessary. It's like inception, like social media trying to get your mind when you're busy living your life, being happy, doing what you want. You don't want social media to get a hold of you at all time, because they will. They know how to push your buttons, so don't let them. Like, hide your buttons, turn off notifications. There is nothing so important happening on social media that you need to know it right away. If someone is giving birth, they'll give you a call, okay? And this is sort of what I mentioned with the FOMO also. The more social medias you have, the more anxious you'll feel if you're like anxious. And it's a lot to keep up with. That's why I've chosen like specific social medias to spend my time and energy on. It just gets too much if I'd be on all of them. Like, I'm not on Be Real. I'm not on Snapchat. I'm not on, what's the new one? Twinkle? Threads. I'm not on Threads. I'm not on LinkedIn. Literally, I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. Four social medias, and that is more than enough for me. I can't imagine trying to hold up a presence on like 7 social medias, especially not without an assistant. Like, how do people do that? I'm not even kidding. I can't imagine. That's like a full-time job. That's several full-time jobs. And especially if you're just like if you're not an influencer or anything, like, why would you put yourself through that? I'm guessing there's a lot of overlap anyways. Like, I used to be on Twitter. The things that I'd say on Twitter, now I just say them on TikTok. Recognize the overlap and know that, like, okay, everyone you love who's on Twitter is also on Instagram, so it's fine. I'd say be mindful. Like, recognize what posts are making you happy, what posts are making you feel bad. Things that are making you feel bad, less of that. Things that make you feel happy, more of that. Follow those people, like, engage with those things so that that's what comes in your feed. Don't engage with things that make you unhappy, and same with the different platforms. And now for a little Reddit break. I love Reddit. Am I the asshole? It's like, it gives me so much life. If you haven't seen it, you should check out, like, I think it's Smosh Pit. It's either Smosh Pit or Smosh Cast. Smosh Pit, where they look at like Reddit stories with different themes. It is so fun. This one is, am I the asshole for calling my sister out on TikTok? Family drama, family tea on TikTok, I love. Although I did not love it when my aunt called me out on Facebook for something my dad did. But other people's drama, fun, yeah. So there's this TikTok trend going around with this audio that goes, what about me? That's just how I envision it. I haven't actually heard about this. When is this from? It's 2 years ago. It was on TikTok, but I've been like so much more on TikTok this year. Okay. And people that have firsthand gone through things showed that what people around them have said about the experience, and then it goes, what about me? I can't explain it well, so I'm going to put an example. Okay, good, we're getting an example. A girl had been depressed since she was 8, and she was showing her mom. It says, my daughter's been depressed since she was 8. It's so hard on all of us. And then the audio went, oh, what about me? You're gonna hate me for this, I'm sorry. I think that was the last one, let's hope. Okay. Showing that they cared more about how they felt about our situation than how it actually was for her. Oh, so typical. I don't know if I explained it properly. I feel like she did, or he. Yeah, she. But I'm 15 female and my sister is 24 female. She used to be an alcoholic with a seriously shitty problem. It came to a point where my parents didn't trust her anymore. When I was 14, I was at a friend's party and my parents were out of town. I was going to get a ride from a friend's brother, but something went wrong and I went to my last resort. Oh, calling my sister. She promised she was sober and picked me up. I was in the backseat, so I really couldn't tell. Plus, I was used to the scent of alcohol on my sister's premises. She had a screaming fit and a bad crash, and it was a really traumatizing experience for me. My parents put me in therapy and stuff. I couldn't sleep at night because I just had nightmares of her screaming profanities and the car hitting the tree and crashing glass, and I was scared to step in a car. I still am. Yeah, it's only been a year. My sister, on the other hand, literally woke up admitting that she had no idea what she did. She was so blackout drunk she had no memory of it, just snippets of picking me up and driving. But she genuinely does not remember the crash at all. I cut contact with her because I just really couldn't look at her. I needed to process and handle it myself. Probably fair, yeah. I was on TikTok a few days ago and saw my sister's video with the audio that was like, well, my parents put my sister in years of therapy because of my crash, but I'm the one who actually crashed? Or something like that. And the comments are all sympathy filled with, I'm sorry. I think we know who the asshole is, yeah. So I duetted, honestly thinking just my friends would see this and be baffled on how shitty it was that she even tried to get sympathy for something she caused and didn't even remember. It's in caps. It hit off pretty well and the sympathy for her turned into hate. Good, yeah. She called me a dick and an a-hole, and that she didn't exactly remember, but she still felt guilt and saw the harm on her car and the bruises on her body. I told her seeing some bruises in her fucked up car was nearly what I had to go through, and she said I was unbelievably selfish. My dad thinks I shouldn't have duetted and escalated the situation. So, am I the asshole? Some people have DM'd me asking if they could use this for YouTube videos, so I'm gonna add her that it's fine. If you want to use this post anywhere with credit, yeah, I'm totally crediting it. We are going to put it in the description. This is a sad social media story. I feel bad for her. It's also, we're actually, next episode is about narcissists, and we could have used that same story here, literally. Like, that sister sounds like a narcissist. I can't even imagine. I'm afraid to drive my, like, baby brother who's literally turning 20 sober, because I don't want to hurt him. I can't imagine willingly, like, picking him up drunk. That's what alcohol is a disease, I know. But then, like, reacting like that on TikTok shows that, like, okay, this is not a mature person, or this is narcissist. This person doesn't understand that this is their fault. This is a pretty brilliant way to use TikTok, I guess, from her point of view. Like, actually calling her out so publicly, I think, yeah, that's fair. And that's the power of social media. Now the sister has to admit, like, okay, maybe I was wrong. And also, I don't know how you see conclusion of votes, but everything I'm seeing here is, like, not the asshole. So then Reddit, also social media, has confirmed for this person who's unsure because of her family dynamics, and you know how families protect each other, like, wow, did I actually do something wrong? And then you have, like, so many people, like hundreds of people, being like, no, you're in the right. And that's the way where we can actually use social media to lean on and support us when our family isn't, which sounds kind of sad, but it's actually pretty good. And in a way, it's kind of a similar concept to how people have used social media to recognize the faults of their government and actually have revolutions. I'm literally, like, not seeing a single "you're the asshole" here. Everyone's like, no. Segment 5, building a positive social media presence. I think we just saw a good example of that in the Reddit post. I think everyone's supporting her. That's a very good thing to do. I love posting motivational quotes on Instagram and posting, like, pretty pictures on Pinterest and tips, and posting, like, confidence advice to YouTube and TikTok, and then also, like, seeing people's responses to me, like, oh my god, this helped me, like, or this made my day. Thanks, Ani. It's just a picture I've had for years. Yeah, this made my day better. Like things like that. The more positive you put out, you get it back and it feels really good. And then just actually building a positive community, being part of a community is so valuable. I like to think of it like, you know how you see something on TikTok and you're like, oh my God, this is super useful. I want to send this to my friend. I think if you have that same outlook when posting on social media, like, would I send this to your friend to make them feel better, like with what you share, that makes your social media a more positive place for people to be, and you'll contribute so positively to communities. You're being part of communities online. Also, like, I follow and engage with a lot of like Lana Del Rey fan pages and like Charm fan pages. Not like I have a fan page, like I follow them, sometimes I comment, and all of these people have like the same experiences as me and like love the same things as me. Like, yeah, makes me happy. I think, yeah, if we're just more authentic, I talk about this a lot, but I think authenticity is where actual freedom and joy comes. If you're authentic on social media, not like sharing you crying or anything, but just like when you're genuinely happy and you post something, or you're genuinely passionate about something, you post something. If you combine authenticity with positivity and just keeping in mind, like, can this inspire someone? Can this motivate someone? And also just sharing things that make you genuinely happy. If you finish high school and you're like, yes, I finally finished high school, I'm so happy, post that and other people will be happy for you. And that's nice. I think that's like why a lot of parents love Facebook, because like when parents share on Facebook like, oh my God, my daughter graduated college today, the people responding genuinely care and they're genuinely happy. Like when they're like, yay, so cool, they actually mean it. It seems so ridiculous to us, but they mean it. Like that's genuine for them. And I think that we should be more like that with our social media platforms. Segment 5, balancing online and offline. All those other things, notifications, blocking, being positive, I can like hand on my heart say, yeah, I do a pretty good job with. This, however, is hard for me because so much of what I do is online or for online, you know, like obviously if you're posting like a smoothie, you have to do it a little differently in order to shoot it, to make it prettier, stuff like that. So like a lot of my offline life is integrated in my online life. However, I'd say like the one thing I do is like when I'm with people, like I spent 5 days in London last month, and I didn't really film a lot because like I was with people and I wanted to be with those people and I wanted to experience things. I was at the National History Museum, I was at the British Museum, I was wandering in Notting Hill. I wanted to really experience that and take it in. And yeah, I filmed a little bit here and there, but my screen time was very, very low and my steps were high. I was focusing on actually experiencing London. And I think like recognizing when to put down the camera. For example, if you're at a concert, film a song or two. Don't film most of the time because you want to experience the concert. Share it to social media. I just like, whoop, grab a photo, post it, go off. You would not find me on the streets of Notting Hill scrolling on TikTok. When you're doing something that really means a lot to you, if you're at a party, if you're celebrating Christmas, if you're wandering the streets of Notting Hill, don't scroll. Post. And don't post like, don't do a whole like, oh, I'm gonna do filters, everything. No, just like post the story or get a few pictures to post later. Whatever you're doing, spend less than 5 minutes and don't scroll and just go back to doing what you're doing. And obviously, like, don't center everything you do around social media. Focus on the people in your life. Focus on work, on your hobbies. Have hobbies that don't involve social media. Don't post every aspect of your life to social media. Like, I'm a lot on social media. You don't know everything about me. I absolutely have hobbies and stuff I do that aren't on here. And that is for my own peace. That I know, like, okay, right now I'm doing something that is just for me. For segment 7, seeking support and help, I'm just going to give some Gen Z advice. This is honestly what I would do if I thought I had a problem with social media. I would like Google social media addiction quizzes, take a couple of very informal quizzes created by people who get it, you know? And if they're all like, yeah, girl, you're addicted to social media, I'd be like, ugh, okay. Try to fix it myself, try to do a little phone detox, maybe follow Zoë Robertson's advice, turn off notifications, block negative people, choose 4 platforms to be on, and if that works, yay, now you can use social media in a positive way. If that doesn't work, therapist, hello, help, please. You know, and it doesn't have to take long. And also, even before that, I try to recognize, is this a problem right now, or has this been a problem for a while? Is this actually related to social media, or is it related to my problems in my relationship, my depression, my anxiety? Is work crazy right now? And if it's something like that, then you can fix that, go to the root of the issue. But if you have a social media addiction, that's another thing. I try to look at all of these things we talked about today and really see, do I not need a therapist? I'm sorry if this episode has been super messy. This is my first time, and this is like the longest form of content except for my study streams where I don't really talk, that I've done on this channel. So yeah, it's been a little bit like, it's really new to me. But to like sum up, I think we should use social media more mindfully, more positively, recognize our own feelings, both good and bad, and sort of act with that as our North Star, like going towards the positive, away from the negative. I know that TikTok loves to bait us with negative things. Just scroll past it, don't engage. And also, social media is just a part of our real life, so we have to recognize what is related to social media and what is not. For example, honestly, some of my Instagram anxiety is more related to real life than to Instagram. And that is something that I have to recognize and deal with. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. If you have any feedback for me, if you have some topics that you'd like me to discuss, you can either write in my YouTube comments, or like I said, you can totally DM me on Instagram at Zoë Robertson. That being said, take care and we'll talk soon. Bye.